I belong to a faith tradition that prioritizes spreading love and justice in this lifetime over striving to achieve a certain afterlife. A faith tradition that believes the inherent worth, dignity, and interconnectedness of all individuals is sacred. A faith tradition that is committed to serving vulnerable communities in action and not just words. You may think that I'm talking about Unitarian Universalism, and you would be correct. But I'm also talking about Sikhi, spelled S-I-K-H-I, and often called Sikhism in the West, the religion that's practiced by my father's side of the family. I inherited one of these faith traditions, but I chose the other one. After the pandemic disrupted my life and my mental health, I desperately needed to find a place that would feed my soul and connect me to a progressive community in Philadelphia. I embarked on a year-long journey to find a spiritual home, and that led me ultimately to First U. I had many reasons for joining this church, but one was especially important to me. Unitarian Universalists don't require congregants to convert. Instead, those who are ready to commit to the church become members. And to me, this meant that I didn't have to renounce my identity as a woman who was raised in Indian traditions to embrace a new identity as a Unitarian Universalist. I knew that First U was the right place for me after I attended a service that was led by Reverend Sana Saeed. When she introduced herself as Muslim and Unitarian Universalist, I felt certain that this is a faith tradition capable of holding space for all my identities. Until recently, my identity as a Sikh woman is one that I took for granted. Growing up, my family would visit the Gurdwara, the Sikh place of worship, on special occasions. It wasn't a significant part of my life back then, but I did still love seeing the colorful crowds sitting on carpeted floors while deep in worship. I love the feeling of surrender when I kneeled and pressed my forehead to the floor before the altar that held our sacred text. And I especially loved the chewy and sweet prasad that was given at the end of service, a sacred offering made of whole wheat flour, butter, and sugar. Now, as an adult, I have a more meaningful appreciation for the foundations of this faith. To understand why, you might need some background on Sikhi. When Guru Nanak, the founder of Sikhi, was 30 years old, he experienced a religious revelation during which he was swept into the presence of God. He described God in his first religious poem, which happens to be the first prayer that my mother ever taught me. It goes in my very American pronunciation. Ek Onkar, Sat Nam, Karta Purkh, Nirbhau, Nirvair, Akal Murth, Ajuni Sepang, Gur Prasad. And that translates to there is only one God. Truth is their name, the Creator, without fear, without hate, immortal, beyond birth and death, self-illuminated, the enlightener, realized by the kindness of the true Guru. In practice, Guru Nanak rebelled against rigid societal norms by declaring that all people, regardless of caste, gender, or other traits, were equal. He believed that all people carried God within them and were all connected by this common divinity. He also believed that seva, or selfless service, was necessary for spiritual development. One example of these Sikh values in action is langar, a free community meal that's prepared and served by volunteers at gurdwaras. As a child, I struggled to even eat langar. My back would hurt from sitting on these long, thin mats that were rolled out on the floor. My stomach would hurt from food that was always a little too spicy for my Americanized tastes. And my social anxiety would hurt from being served food by strangers who ranged from cheerful children my own age to serious elderly men with turbans and long beards. But now, I understand why Guru Nanak made langar a spiritual practice. Everyone who attends this meal, regardless of race, ethnicity, gender, socioeconomic status, everyone must sit on the floor and eat together. It's an expression of humility and equality. And those serving langar ensure that anyone who wants or needs a meal is fed. Guru Nanak developed these key practices of Sikhi throughout his life, but it was Guru Gobind Singh, the 10th Guru, who created the Khalsa, a beloved community within the faith. At the time, Sikhs were violently persecuted for their commitment to religious freedom. To counteract this existential threat, Guru Gobind Singh initiated into the Khalsa volunteers who were committed to the faith and willing to protect the community. He established the Articles of Faith that make Sikhs a visible community to this day, including requiring Sikhs to keep their hair long and uncut and to wear a steel bangle like this one. So, in building a Khalsa, Guru Gobind Singh created an egalitarian community with a visible commitment to social justice. Rather than appointing a successor, Guru Gobind Singh transferred his authority to two sources. One, the sacred text of the faith, and the other, the Khalsa that would interpret it. The Holy Scripture, which contains writings by the Gurus as well as by some Hindu and Muslim authors, would become the living embodiment of the Guru. And the Khalsa, the community, would provide the structure for the faith. This decision to choose pluralism, equality, and community over political hierarchy is one of my favorite aspects of Sikhi. So after hearing this background, you might have a variety of reactions. You might be curious and interested in learning more about this faith, or you might be surprised by how much you have in common with a Sikh person. Or you might just be wishing that you had another cup of coffee to get you through this history lesson. If that is the case, I completely understand. But I'm hoping this sermon sparks more than tolerance or even acceptance of the Sikh faith. Instead, I urge you to see yourself as part of an interfaith community with Sikhs as well as with other progressive people of faith. In his memoir, Acts of Faith, Eboo Patel, the founder and president of the nonprofit Interfaith America, explained why interfaith communities are vital for social justice. He wrote, "At the heart of every movement I studied, the civil rights movement, the struggle against apartheid in South Africa, the movement to free India, had been a group of religiously diverse people putting their skins on the line for social justice. Every leader I admired was deeply rooted in a different faith. His influences included people like Dorothy Day, Martin Luther King Jr., and Gandhi." This realization inspired Patel to develop a program in which youth from different religions would come together and complete community service projects together, followed by reflecting on the commonalities across their traditions. By showing that people of different faiths often have shared values, Patel aims to prevent religious extremism, the source of so many conflicts in our world today. Instead, he hopes to create a society that thrives, in part, because of its religious diversity. This tactic of connecting diverse people through shared principles is one that Unitarian Universalists know well. So what does it mean to be part of an interfaith community with Sikhs? That could mean supporting Sikhs in their continued struggles against persecution abroad and in the United States. The Sikh Coalition reported that in the 1 month after 9/11, there were over 300 hate crimes reported against Sikh Americans. In fact, The first person who was murdered in a hate crime after 9/11 was Balbir Singh Sodhi, a Sikh American. These hate crimes have only escalated with a mass shooting in a Wisconsin Gurdwara in 2012. And as recently as 2021, the FBI reported that Sikh Americans are the second most targeted faith group after Jewish Americans in this country. But being in community with Sikhs can also mean recognizing that people of this faith have a role to play in our collective efforts for social justice. Sikhs and Unitarian Universalists share a demonstrated commitment to serving those who are most marginalized in society. In my opinion, there is no faith tradition better positioned to promote interfaith cooperation than Unitarian Universalism, because we are, at our core, interfaith. We welcome people from all backgrounds. We incorporate wisdom from religions throughout the world into our teachings. And we already work alongside other congregations for justice through Power Interfaith. But we can do more. I want to encourage this congregation to welcome people of different faiths who share our common principles. We may not always understand or agree with other religions, but we can honor how different people have found meaning and truth in their lives. If we are inspired by the Sikh idea of Khalsa, of creating an egalitarian congregation with a fierce commitment for social justice, we can do more than simply work alongside people of other faiths. We can actually welcome their diverse members into our pews and into our community. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Reverend Hannah Capaldi.
And I'm Reverend Abby Tennis. We are the ministers at the First Unitarian Church of Philadelphia, where our mission is to awaken love and justice in our lives and in the world.
We're so grateful that you watched, and we hope that the sermon connected with your soul.
We also want to invite you to join us for a live worship service every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You can always find the link to that service on our website at www.philauu.org. In these services, you'll hear words like you've just heard, and you also get a chance to greet one another, pray together, sing together, and we even hold a virtual coffee hour after services to get a chance to greet some new and old friends.
If you want to support the mission of this community and you feel moved to give, you can do so by going to the website that Reverend Abby just mentioned. You can find that link below, or you can text 215-709-5095 and follow the prompts to give.
If someone in your life needs to hear these words today, we encourage you to share this video. And again, thank you so much for watching.
We hope to see you soon.